Here's something that trips up most LLM developers. You can take the exact same model, the exact same prompt, and get wildly different results just by changing what's around that prompt. That's not a bug, that's context. And if you're not engineering it on purpose, you're basically gambling. That's what we are digging into today. So when people say context, they actually mean everything that gets passed to the model before it responds. Not just your prompt, the system prompt, the chat history, and any documents you've injected, tool calls, results, all of it. The model sees all of this as one big blob of text and it has no idea which parts are important unless you tell it. And that's a job of context engineering. People mix these up constantly. Prompt engineering is about how you phrase one message. Context engineering is about what you give the model to work with, which documents, how much history, what system instructions, what order. So it's the difference between writing one good sentence and designing an entire briefing document. One is word choice, and another one is architecture. So here's the mental model I want you to walk away with. The context window is a budget. It has a fixed size. Every token you spend on one thing is a token that you can't spend on something else. And when you go over the budget, the model doesn't crash. It just silently starts ignoring things, usually the stuff in the middle. So your job as a context engineering is figuring out what deserves to be in this window right now. That's it. When you strip it down, there are really only four levers. What you include, that is what data, what instructions actually go in. What you exclude, this one is underrated, but more always isn't better. The order, the models have recency bias. Position matters more than people think. And lastly, format. Raw text versus structured markdown versus JSON all hit differently. Most people only think about the first one. The other three are where the real craft is. And the most common mistake I see is what I call context stuffing. That is, developers just dump everything into the system prompt, hoping the model figures it out. Every policy doc, every edge case, every disclaimer. And the model tries to honor all of it, which means it's prioritizing nothing. Ironically, a shorter, more intentional context usually outperforms a massive one. You are not filling a storage container, you are briefing a smart person who reads fast but doesn't like any noise. This is exactly why RAG is such a big deal, not just because it adds new information, but because it's form of a dynamic context engineering. Instead of jamming your entire knowledge base into the prompt, you retrieve only the relevant chunks at query time and inject them. You're doing real-time budget allocation. The question isn't how do I make the context window bigger, but rather it's how do I make sure the right things are in it at the right moment. If you're building agents, this gets even more important because now the context evolves over multiple turns and you just can't keep appending forever. So you need a strategy, that is what lives in the window right now, what gets summarized and stored, what gets offloaded to an external database. This is memory management, and getting it wrong means your agent either forgets things it should remember or wastes its entire budget on stuff that stopped being relevant 6 months ago. So here's the thing I want you to actually remember. When a model gives you a bad answer, your first instinct is to rewrite the prompt. But half the time, the problem isn't the prompt, it's the context around it. Missing information, too much noise, wrong ordering. The model can only work with what you give it. That's the whole game. If you want one thing to do after this video, open your system prompt, whatever you're working on, and ask yourself, is every single thing in here earning its place? If something's in there out of habit or just in case, cut it. Be deliberate. That's the shift from prompt engineering to context engineering. Subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.